Welcome to the first episode of Game Pass Picks, the series that highlights some of the best games on Xbox Game Pass right now. Today we look at Descenders, a procedurally generated downhill biking game which launched on Game Pass in May of 2019. Descenders is developed by the Dutch studio known as RageSquid and published by No More Robots. The game currently retails for $24.99 outside of Game Pass. And now for a short and to-the-point review of the game so you can decide if this is a game for you. Descenders is a game where you traverse across procedurally generated terrain on a mountain bike to reach the endpoint at the other side. Along the way, you are given bonus objectives to get, like 4 total seconds of airtime or do 2 backflips, etc. Completing these objectives grants you additional health points, which act as the game's life system. If you should wipe out on one of these tracks, then you lose 1 or sometimes 2 health, so completing these bonus objectives is highly advised. Overall, this creates a nice gameplay flow as you have to decide if you want to just focus on making it through the level, or if you feel confident enough to try for the bonus. The game has 3 playable game modes: Career, Career Plus, which adds new areas, and Free Ride, which lets you mess around without having to worry about losing health if you crash. Both career modes function the same way. Your objective is to progress across a map of levels that are all generated based on your location, whether it be the forest, plains, desert, or jungle, and those are just the ones that I've seen myself. All of these areas look great with special props to the jungle and forest sections as they both really pop in a visual sense. The game gives you some choice as to which levels you play within that map. Each level's layout is indicated in a general sense by the 3 sliders that indicate steepness, the amount of curves and turns, and the jumps that you'll encounter for stunts. The procedural generation works well as it's never blatantly apparent to the player that these levels were not crafted by hand. No jumps that are impossible to make, no paths that lead to nowhere, it all works really well. How you approach these levels is again mostly up to you, but occasionally you'll run into something called the fire node, which are levels that turn all 3 sliders up to maximum. These are usually placed near the end, so it's more difficult to avoid them, and they are very challenging. All of this is done to eventually get to the boss level of the area, which ends in an epic super jump that you have to at least survive in order to unlock the next area. Let's say you lose all of your lives though. What happens then? Well, you do get booted back to the game's pretty large practice hub, but you're also awarded a cosmetic like new goggles, helmet, bikes, etc. To my knowledge, you pretty much always get something, though that may slow down as you start to unlock more and more cosmetics. You can also decide to join a team which focuses on a certain type of play, whether it be speed, off-roading, or stunts. I picked the stunt team, Enemy, and got myself acquainted with this game's stunt controls. This game is not necessarily for old Tony Hawk game fans, as you can't just randomly press buttons and move the analog sticks to rack up points. Descenders is a much more deliberate and focused system where you have to be more careful. If you go popping a trick randomly during a level without enough air, you will crash if you're still in the middle of an animation when you land. Overall though, the stunt system is still fair, along with the rest of the well-tuned movement mechanics of the game in general. Finally, this game has a great soundtrack which focuses on drum and bass tracks that all fit together seamlessly. Granted, these tracks tend to blend together at points, but as background music goes, this is all very well done. There are a few minor gripes with this game though, which may deter some. The game doesn't completely explain everything, which can lead to some frustrating moments. As someone focusing on stunts, that came in the form of not knowing how to land properly when you launch yourself too high. Basically, for a while, if I saw this yellow exclamation point at the bottom, I was gonna crash. Eventually, I figured it out, but I would have liked a pop-up or something after crashing to explain how to land properly. Also, as alluded to previously, the controls for tricks are slightly wonky and can lead players to opting to just do backflips and spins to get points instead of messing with the tricks. This does get easier as you practice more, but it really never feels 100% fluid. Finally, the procedural generation does occasionally put obstacles in places that are hard to spot, like, for instance, right around a corner, which can get frustrating, but is not consistent enough to dampen the experience. Overall, in a world where your time is valuable and games can take hours to download, Descenders is 100% worth putting into your queue. I installed this game a few weeks ago, and I have gone back to play it many times since then and has still not gotten stale. This is one of those games that you'll download and leave on your Xbox for those times that you need to kill some time, but don't want to get wrapped up in a larger, more involved experience. Definitely don't sleep on Descenders. If you like this video, then please consider giving it a like, or you can subscribe if you want to see more Game Pass picks in the future. Until then, happy gaming, and I will see you next time.